Welcome to Pecos On The Move. It is a Monday morning. It is the 22nd day of June. We hope your day is going well. We hope everybody had a nice weekend, and all you dads out there, hope you had a great Father's Day. I hope you had a good Father's Day, Jimmy.
I did, and a belated Happy Father's Day to all the listening audience, Bill.
Absolutely. And Jimmy Dutchover is the Executive Director of the Pecos Economic Development Corporation and is our guest this week on Pecos On The Move. This is a brand new program that we just started last week. And Jimmy, we appreciate you coming on board and sharing information with our listeners each week. And we're going to start things off this morning talking about sales tax. And this is something I don't know that we've covered as much as we need to, but I know you've got some statistics and information here and some very impressive information that you're going to share with our listeners.
Well, you know, Bill, we concentrate on job creation. We concentrate on creating industry for ourselves so that we can have more jobs, more tax dollars coming in. And we talk about also the roads and infrastructure that we have to have. But what people don't realize is the way that the city is governed and operated is under sales tax, along with some water sales and permitting, things of that nature. So it's really important to the Economic Development Corporation, as an extension of the town of Pecos City and Reeves County, that we do everything we can to bolster those numbers up.
Absolutely. And where do we stack up with area communities? I know y'all keep an eye on Monahans in Fort Stockton, Andrews, Seminole, all of these communities of similar size here in West Texas. And where do we stack up?
Well, let me give you an example of Van Horn, and I'm going to start with that mainly because it's to the west of us, and they have huge projects going on with a Bezo operation. Up to right now, they generate probably about $1.8 million in sales every year. Okay. Now, I've tracked this number from 2021 to 2025, and then of course also up to right now in 2026. But our neighboring partner in Monahans to the east of us, $5.2 million at the end of 2025. Fort Stockton, $3.35 million. Pecos, $9.6 million.
Wow.
And then you have Andrews, who has had an oil and gas presence for so much longer than we have.
Right.
They have $11.5 million as of 2025. And then I mentioned Van Horn, and then Seminole, $8.8 million. Again, a big presence of oil and gas for years and years before us.
All right. And percentage-wise, how does that stack up? Let's say for a 5-year growth period, 2021 through 2025.
Okay, eliminating 2026 because we're only 6 months into it.
Right.
But Pecos has a plus 65% from 2021 to 2025. Our neighboring communities, Monahans has a plus 44%.
Okay.
And Fort Stockton a plus 30%. Keep in mind, the reason that they've had so much growth in that area is because we don't even have the number of housing to take care of what we need. So we have so many trucks, so many individuals coming into our community to work, and guess what happens at the end of the day? They go back home. If we had the proper amount of housing to take care of all of our needs, then we would have those individuals living in our community, buying here at our stores, doing laundry, all the different things that happen. It's just not about going to the Walmart. It's just not about going to United. It's about going to the restaurants, going to the shops, getting a cup of coffee. All of those things are taxable items, Bill, because they're a service. And when that happens, guess what? That number just keeps on going up on our favor. Now, with regards to Andrews, who has had a presence of oil and gas for years, 20, 30 years before we even got into the business, they're at 29%. Seminole at 42%. And Van Horn, despite having a low number, they're at a 42% growth as well.
Right. Now, when you look at the rankings through 2025 now, Andrews is still slightly ahead of Pecos. Pecos is a close second, but that may look to change for 2026, right?
It is. If we look at the projections of what has gone on for the first 6 months so far, we anticipate probably being around $11 million. Now, that's unofficial. Because, the comptroller still has to go back and do their numbers. But then you look at Andrews, and Andrews after 6 months, their sales are going to be around $9.4 million. So it's almost a turnaround. We take the lead, and they come behind us. And that's the first time in the history, as far as I went back, that we've been able to sit down and overtake Andrews. They are impressive numbers, Bill. We are doing our job. It takes a while to generate this growth, but when people start to think about what's driving this, we see the plants going up, we see the schools being built, and so much of what we are experiencing in Pecos starts with construction. You have to have these things being built, first of all, and those construction jobs create opportunities for us to have those individuals eating in our community, staying in our community, shopping in our community, washing the clothes at the laundromat. And yes, some of it just benefits Pecos entirely. So our goal is to try and create more housing, more development, not only for single-family homes, but for apartment complexes, townhomes, things of that nature.
And Jimmy, looking back, I think just about every time that I've visited with you, we talk about housing and the different projects that are either underway or being planned and so forth. And so it is very, very important. And of course, we do have a number of housing projects that are either actively underway or being planned right now, right?
Well, just take for instance right across your street and your neighborhood, Bill. There's the cul-de-sac. That is the private sector doing it as part of an abatement agreement that they have with the town of Pecos City, with Reeves County, the hospital district, ESD 1 and 2. And when you start to look at it, look at how much faster that's going up than just right below or south of Well Springs apartment, which is government housing. That is the hidden heroes. And yes, we're making progress, but not to the speed of private sector. That is the disappointing part. Economic Development Corporations are a nonprofit organization that allows us to operate as a private sector. So when it comes to procurement, looking out for contracts and trying to find the right people, we don't have to go through the normal bid process. We are not bound by the same rules and regulations that the county, the school district, the city are bound by. Ours is about trying to go as fast as we can to meet the needs of what we have in our community, and also taking care of the parent companies or the parent entities, which are the city, the county, hospital district, school district, things of that nature.
Right. Now, of course, you mentioned the housing there on Jackson. I believe 12 homes will ultimately be built in that block right there, including around the cul-de-sac. And 7 are actively being built as we speak. And then I believe there are 5 more around the cul-de-sac, right?
That is correct. You look at the amount of hard work and planning that went into it. It's been a blessing in disguise. When people told me that there was never going to be any housing built out there, that no one would build based on the covenants, in other words, the restrictions, the fact that it would have an HOA, I said, no, that's not an acceptable answer. We have to find a workaround. We have to find a solution to the problem. And that solution came with the private sector saying, okay, we will help you build if you will be generous enough to help us with some of this tax abatements that we're going to have with things that we're bringing into your community. And again, it's a trade-off. You get those construction jobs, you get that tax base going up, and then look what we're getting in return.
And then we've seen other housing projects going up at various places around town as well. And I think you mentioned not too long ago that there would be more housing in the Meadowbrook addition as well that will be coming up, right?
That is true. We had to have, or the agreement was 120,000 square feet of living space, single-family housing that had to go up for the trade-off with the Pecos Power Plant number 1 and number 2. And so obviously they want their construction at the plant to finish up the same time that this housing is, so that it can be on the market. One of the restrictions is no housing, no abatements. We did everything in our power to advise the city council and also the other taxing entities as to how to prepare ourselves for, if they don't do what they're going to do, then we're not going to do what we agreed to do.
Now, the Pecos City Council approved just recently, I believe at their last meeting, the moving of, I believe, 1,300 acres that will be used for a new addition. And I know you wanted to address that and talk about that and give us the details on that.
Well, as far as what I know, Bill, and after speaking to Mr. Lino on Friday morning, yes, we officially had the agreement from the town of Pecos City to transfer a little over 1,300 acres of land to the Economic Development Corporation. Now, that too has restrictions. We have to perform based upon the industries that we have recruited to come to Pecos. It will be all on the tax roll for the town of Pecos City. It was just 1,300 acres that Mr. Lino's predecessor had purchased based upon the recommendation of council at that time to build the schools and everything out there. And you've seen what we were able to do with the schools, build it where they were at, and let's keep tradition alive. That land was so important because it has an industrial component to it. It also has a residential component to it. And then it also has an expanded cemetery component to it as well.
Okay. So this is the new West Pecos subdivision, right?
That is correct. It's land that is directly south of the prison. North of the prison, between the prison and Interstate 20, and then on the other side of the cemetery.
Okay, so it's right there in that southwestern part of our community.
Yes, sir. And if I might mention out this to the listening audience, the investment that the town of Pecos City made was approximately $6 million. The sale of that land is going to generate over $40 million worth of sales for the town of Pecos City.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for sharing that information with our listeners this morning, Jimmy. We kind of touched on this some last week, and what retail businesses and franchise eateries consider while they're evaluating whether to locate an operation in a rural West Texas community like ours, and population and trade area is right there at the top of that list, right?
That is, we can tell everybody in the world how big and how Pecos is growing, but they still come to the population, and then it comes back to what are the wages that those individuals are having, what is the workforce population. So, again, when you see these rubber strips up and down 285 or along the interstate, even along Business 20, is to try and get a traffic count. How many people are actually here in the community of Pecos at any given time? It's very hard to measure the tourist traffic other than the hotel stays. And if you haven't seen the hotels, they're filling up, and this was prior to the rodeo. But the reality of it is, the construction works are doing a lot of this for us, Bill.
Right. So they want to know how many people live in the community and how many people shop in the community then.
Exactly. Now, the beautiful part is because of technology, you can just look at the count and find out how many credit cards with 79772 are shopping here in Pecos. But you can also find out that section that does not have that, or the surrounding zip codes of Saragossa, Bomberay, Barstow, Orla, Mentone. When you eliminate those, then you can see actually what dollars are coming in from the outside. And it's amazing as to the number of people that shop from Fort Stockton and Monahans and Mentone and Orla and Bomberay and Alpine. Anytime we have a football game, anytime we have a volleyball game, anytime we have a baseball or softball game, just go out there to one of the restaurants or go out there to United or Walmart and see the colors. And they're not purple and gold. They're usually our opponents.
So they're looking at not only population but of a particular community, and but also the regional trade area as well. And in our case, I would say 40, maybe 50,000 people in our trade area right now, right?
We touch upon this number with Jerry Bullard, because Jerry and his staff have the ability to look at that count, and when they send out that alert as a test, we can actually find out how many cell phones are around this area that are not the 432, 448 number, or an extension. I think it's a 294 as well. But we're blessed. We have a lot of people. We got problems that I think a lot of other communities would want. And despite our differences with beliefs, we're doing our best with the Economic Development Corporation, my board of directors, to drive what we are tasked to do, and that is to generate tax dollars for our community, generate good paying jobs for our community, and generate quality of life for our, it just goes on and on, Bill. There's a whole list of things that we're tasked to do.
Household income and spending power, that's another big one too, right?
It is. So much of our medium income is not where it needs to be, and mainly it's because we are still considered an economically disadvantaged community. And that is because that population that is driving those $100,000 a year jobs out in the oil and gas industry do not equate to jobs here in Pecos, Texas. They equate to a job wherever their employer is.
Traffic counts and visibility, we kind of touched on that a little bit, but when a franchise eatery is looking at coming in, traffic count is important.
It is. They want to know what is that ability to get traffic off the interstate, get them to stop. So often they need a restroom break before they're headed out to their next destination. And if we have good, clean eateries for people to shop, get a drink, fill up, then they're wanting to stay in our community. So the appearance of our entrance is very, very important to this community and to the dollars that we try and generate for the city.
Workforce availability, Jimmy. Now, I know this is not only a major challenge for Pecos, but really pretty much all of West Texas has experienced this in the retail sector. But workforce availability is very important.
It is. So often we used to hear about it. You got to go to college. You have to do so many things to be successful. Go to trade school. With the successes that we're having at the high schools level with the CTE programs, you're starting to see a driving force that is growing in nature, individuals that want to stay in our community, but it's that available workforce. So much of what we're doing right now, the people come in from El Paso to help us out. Mm-hmm. The wage expectation, remember the days that when we were going to school, Bill, we got $3.75 an hour to work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And now the young population can start out at $15 an hour at one of the eateries.
Right.
And then, of course, the housing availability for non-purchase is really important as well, the leasing of apartments and things of that nature.
Right. Rental inventory, I know y'all keep up with that sort of thing as well. Home prices, all of that enters into that, doesn't it?
It does. They're the professionals that earn a better salary than some of the hourly employees, and they want a better place to live. They're sometimes, especially the medical staff and the professional staff of the city, the county, these industries that we're bringing into town, they want quality of life, and that starts not only with a good education for their children, but a nice place to live, a nice subdivision. So we're doing everything we possibly can to get that taken care of.
All right, Jimmy, and we'll pick up where we left off on that top 10. That we covered 5 of them there,
yes,
and we'll cover 6 through 10 on our visit next Monday. But we're just about out of time. But is there anything that you'd like to add before we close things out here this morning?
No, just a big thanks to the Economic Development Corporation, the town of Pecos City, of course, Reeves County, the hospital district, ESD 1 and 2. These taxing entities, those elected officials or appointed officials, they take on a responsibility seriously to try and get a lot of good things done for Pecos, and we're getting there, Bill. It's just not going to happen overnight.
And we want to thank 2 of your staff members for being here this morning, and they're videoing our visit here, and that's Lila Gonzalez and Kaylin Salcido. We want to thank them for being here today. Thank you all very much, ladies. We do appreciate that. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much for joining us here this morning. We'll talk to you again next week on Pecos On The Move, and y'all have a great week, great rodeo week. And, of course, we all want to get behind our West of the Pecos Rodeo and get those tickets at www.pecosrodeo.com. 4 big performances, 8 o'clock nightly, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the Buck Jackson.
That is correct, Bill.
All right. Have a great week. That's our program for today. We do want to thank the Pecos Economic Development Corporation for making this special time available. And we're here on Monday mornings at 8:05 with Pecos On The Move. Y'all have a great day out there. So long, everybody.